Let's go.
All right, so officially welcome everybody. Welcome to Captain's Table. Thank you very much for joining us today. There's a lot going on around the wonderful world of recruitment, so appreciate you all taking the opportunity to be here. And before we do start, I would like to especially thank our supporters who have been with us through thick and thin, through COVID, through economic uncertainty, through the biggest bull market of all time in the recruitment industry. Thank you very much to JobAdder, Ayers Group, A Positive, Digipro and William Buck, many of who are join us on this session and also have been presenting and contributing lots of very valuable information to our recruitment industry leaders group, Captain's Table. So thank you very much for being here. I'm Tony Hall. For those of you that I haven't met before, I run Navigator Consulting. We're a specialist growth and improvement consulting company for recruitment companies. I mainly sit on boards of small to medium-sized recruitment companies and help them to grow and prosper. So with that, I would like to now introduce our special guest speaker, Brian, who runs a brand new company, which he's going to introduce to us today, called WorkinAus. And he's going to be talking on rethinking overseas talent sourcing. Talent sourcing is the biggest issue in the recruitment industry now, as everybody knows, and finding good talent is the biggest challenge ever. And now we have another solution, but more than that, Brian's going to share with you all the landscape around immigration and overseas talent. So Brian, thank you very much for taking the time to join us, and we're really looking forward to hearing from you today.
Yeah, great. Thanks for the introduction. I appreciate it. So first of all, bear with me. I got COVID in Sydney last month and I'm still struggling with a frog in my throat. So it's always difficult presenting, but we'll try to get through it. I've got 9 slides in a PowerPoint presentation, so it won't be death by PowerPoint. But it would be great if this can be interactive to any degree. So any questions that come up along the way, please ask them via chat. Tony can pass them on. I've got a pretty data-heavy emphasis on immigration, which I'm sure many will be interested to hear some stats from, but it's pretty content-heavy. So if I start to bore you, feel free to come off of mute, and you can yawn quite loudly to keep it moving. But yeah, let's see how we go. So with that being said, I'll start the presentation. Oh, I've just lost my screen. Oh, jeez. Tony, can you educate me very quickly on how to bring up the Zoom share screen? Oh, I've got it here. So I think this is going to stop your share screen and then bring up mine. So bear with me. Can everybody see the London bus? Okay, great. So, oh, bear with me. There we go. Okay, so to introduce myself, I'm a 20-year recruiter. My background's largely across Robert Half and the Anderson Partnership, which I founded in 2010. And we grew that business internationally, and I became non-executive in the group in 2019. So I stepped down as CEO. I've got a young family. Girls are 3 and 5. We moved up to Noosa and took some time out, which is lovely through COVID. And we incorporated WorkinAus about 10 months ago now. And we're effectively a technology company. And we've got about 40 employees, and we raised capital to kick the business off. And it's really a business that's focused on helping to solve the labor crisis. And I'll talk through what we're up to in detail, but the topics that we're going to run through, obviously on the screen, some ABS data, some country insights. We commissioned a YouGov market research piece for 1,300 people across the UK and Ireland, which I touched on briefly at the RCSA Pitch Fest in Melbourne now 2 weeks ago. the great poach, obviously with people sourcing domestically, we're talking international now, but some new recruitment tools with video marketing, and how to save some time and money, basically. So to talk through some stats, and I'm going to hang on this screen for quite a while. So I guess, firstly, I want to make the point that I'm now no longer recruiting myself. My business partner is a registered immigration consultant. He ran a practice for 15 years, which he sold in 2018, but he's still a registered migration agent. So I've got a lot of immigration statistics that I can run through, but I just really want to emphasize the point that we're not providing advice. It's not a disclaimer, but just so that everybody knows who we are and what we're focused on. So obviously everybody knows the current headline numbers of unemployment at 3.9%, participation rates up, employment's up to 13.5 million, participation rates up, underemployment rate decreased to 5.7, and hours work has increased. So clearly there's a lot of good stuff happening in the economy, but inflation and interest rate rises aside, everybody knows about that. But today there's almost up to 450,000 job advertisements live in Australia today alone. So obviously record highs. Now, a question that we get asked a lot is current visa processing times. And again, we're not providing advice around that, but there's some shocking statistics I'm sure everybody knows, and I've spoken to many in my travels, Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane over the last few weeks, as we've kicked off our soft launch for WorkinAus. Give you some stats. So processing skilled visas, so we're talking 482 visas, the old 457. 75% that are on the short-term list. The short-term list is effectively semi-skilled labor, is taking 12 months to process, and that's historic applications. 50% of those applications are taking 83 days to push through. The medium-term list, which is highly skilled migration, they're taking 3 months to process. And again, this is the historic numbers, and 50% are taking 50 days to get through. Now, obviously, we've got a new government, and they've had a big push on putting more resource to processing visas. But I don't anticipate that number is going to come down wholesale very quickly. Interestingly enough, I was reading an article in the AFR yesterday. They said that regional skilled visas, the 887, they're taking 19 months for 50% of those applications, so almost 2 years. So yeah, I was speaking to Chris, my business partner, who's the immigration background, and basically what he was saying is that probably 6 or 7 years ago, there was a large backlog of visa applications, and effectively what government bodies, I should say, is they hired a bunch of people to help solve the backlog. And effectively what happened is they had a queue jump. So basically what occurred was every new application that came through was processed by a separate team, and the processing times for those visas were very fast. So we're hopeful that may occur to an extent, but it's quite cruel in that those that are in limbo will probably be in limbo for that much longer. Yeah, so as I'm sure many people know, the only way to get skilled migrants into countries via the 482 skilled path. And what we really want to talk about, and I don't have a slide for this because, again, we don't want to be seen as giving immigration advice. We're in the final process of a formal partnership with the Migration Institute of Australia, but we really want to focus on getting backpackers here effectively with the WorkinAus program. And to define that target audience, we'll talk a little bit about the YouGov surveys, but that's 21 to 35-year-old, male, female, unencumbered. And our target marketing at the start is going to be to UK and Irish nationals. So talk a little bit about the 400 visa program, which is a pathway that many probably don't know about, but just to touch on that, and this I would encourage anyone that's looking to assist someone finding a visa for employment very quickly. This is a pathway for non-ongoing employment. So it's for contracts that are less than 3 months in duration. So it's a way to get people into country very quickly. 75% of those visas are granted in 20 days time, but effectively it's kind of a backdoor way that you can then get onto a bridging visa for a longer term stay. So it's worth speaking to a migration agent about. 417 visas, which are the old, the current working holiday maker visa, 75% are granted in 17 days and 50% are granted within a day. And another piece to focus on is that there's no cap on those visas to be granted. And I think within the general press, the focus is always on skilled migration. When we talk about working holiday maker visas and student visas, they are completely different categories. I'll just run through quickly for those that may not be aware of the countries that are eligible for the 417 program, and they're Belgium, Canada, the Republic of Cyprus, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Hong Kong, Ireland, Italy, Japan, Korea, Malta, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Taiwan, and the UK. The 462 visa pathway is largely for the US and a few other countries with limitations. 50% are granted within 26 days. So obviously a pathway to get people here very, very quickly. The 500 visa, which is the student visa, 50% are taking 50 to 60 days to grant. So again, quite fast relative to 2 years. But yeah, look, I just think for those that haven't considered it, the Working Holiday Maker Visa program is a very fast way to get people into country very quickly. Okay, so as I'm sure everyone knows, we've got a skills crisis, but now we've got a labor crisis, which is covering both unskilled and semi-skilled workers. Long term, the government will look to train Australians to meet the skills shortage, but in the short term, obviously, we need a lot of people here very, very quickly. We'll just move on to the YouGov survey, and hopefully everybody can see that full screen. And I'll run through a few key stats here, but the one that I would mention, which was just published last month, was that as of last month, there were 75,000 working holiday visa visa holders granted. 25,000 have come into country, and there are 50,000 that haven't yet arrived in country. So there's people that have the visa, they're ready to go, clearly waiting for the Northern Hemisphere summer to lapse to then come this way for some sunshine. So as I said, we've commissioned this YouGov survey, again, focusing on 21 to 35-year-olds without dependents. There's a couple key stats that I'd like to draw your attention to. And firstly, it's 68% that would consider traveling to Australia. And of those that said that they'll travel, they'll obviously work to support that travel. The 750,000 or 750,000 or so that could leave now if an opportunity arose to them, and the 39% that would get a job to work while traveling. So the one stat in that that's quite interesting to me is that effectively that's saying if an opportunity is marketed to an individual, there's 750,000 people that said that they would be able to jump on a plane tomorrow to come this way. Obviously, you can see industries that are of most interest: tech, education, admin, management, hospitality, etc. But yeah, clearly the data supports that people are very, very motivated to come this way, contrary to some articles that have been written in the general press talking about Australia's management of COVID, closed borders, and reputation being damaged. The research is very much contrary to that mindset. So if anybody has any questions on that, please send them through on the chat. More than happy to talk that through, but some headline numbers to get an understanding. So the Great Poach, some amazing statistics. So pre-pandemic, from Home Affairs, there were 792,000 international students in country, 135,000 backpackers, and some 750,000 temporary visa holders with work rights, such as the 482, 457 program. 500,000 left in COVID, but clearly there was 2 million people on a visa that are going to be coming back this way. So there's no secret that unemployment's come down drastically. Job ads are at historic highs, but in tandem with application rates at historic lows. So really what we're trying to focus employers and recruiters on is just the volume of people that are available for opportunities, but just need to be marketed to come this way. So WorkinAus, in a nutshell, is our mission, as I said, is to help solve the labor shortage. We know there's more talent out there, so WorkinAus has one focus, and that's to get people here. We've created a destination platform where Australian recruiters and employers can find people traveling to Australia to live and work, and international talent can find Australian employers willing to hire them. WorkinAus is designed to be a step forward in recruitment marketing. So the pitch is tracked more than just text. So for 25 years, job advertisements have largely been text-based. We feel that moving forward, video is going to be the way to really capture the interest of job seekers. And we've got a few stats around that. So this is quite amazing. It's a Forbes survey that came out late last year. They said that 82% of all content created online is now with video. A marketing statistic was 58%. So that basically if a consumer has engaged with a brand via video, they are 58% more likely to buy from that brand. So we believe the widespread use of video as a key feature will be the next step change in recruitment. We've been living with text for decades, obviously, so using video, you can connect with job seekers with far greater impact. So WorkinAus lets recruiters and employers create their own Netflix-style video job boards and create your own central hub for job ads. So you can boost job ads with videos about specific roles. And it's about creating an authentic connection between job seekers and recruiters through video. Another marketing statistic, again, from Forbes, is 92% of customers prefer user-generated content versus polished marketing campaigns. So we have set up the platform to help you save time, money, and energy. So the recruitment tech with the tools to help you streamline processes will be native within your ATS. So we're integrated into JobAdder, Bullhorn, Vincere, et cetera. And it's all through multi-posters, Itabu, Broadbean, et cetera. So everything will be native within the ATS that you're working within. We've got a pretty aggressive development schedule, which will see the platform integrate with government technologies to help assist you maintain compliance. So to touch on that briefly, we've been granted access to Home Affairs database to perform right-to-work checks, so VIVO checks, and the ability to multi-post to the Job Active platform, so to help simplify labor market testing. So effectively, that is the advertisement, if it's on WorkinAus, will be multi-posted to Job Active directly. So if on platform for 28 days, on the 29th day, an employment contract can be raised and government will be satisfied that the opportunity has been marketed to Australians to get the first opportunity with that. So that's it in a nutshell. I've got a fancy QR code at the end, being a tech business, if anybody wants to find contact details. But we do have an offer for the recruitment industry, which is free use of the platform as we're starting our marketing campaigns for candidates to come to platform. That actually kicked off early last week, and that will build very quickly. But it's free for use to the end of August. So it would be great for people to jump on and provide feedback as to what they think, but that's it in a nutshell. So I will stop sharing my screen and hop back on.
All right, Brian, got some questions for you, and just to follow up on some of the stuff that you have covered. And everyone that is on today's session, please think of all those situations that you are in for both your own organisations, but just as importantly for your clients too, because you're going to need to be able to be up with the state of immigration and the state of workers coming to Australia in case your clients ask you. And obviously, you're going to want to be tapping into this market to produce good quality candidates that traditionally, and Brian and I joked about this before, all of us, except for our original Australians, came to Australia to work. When you think about it, we are all of us, and Australia was built and founded on immigration, and so it's a really, really important part of our economy, especially with so many vacancies. But question for you, Brian, how big is that labour gap that we've got at the moment? We see 400,000 vacancies. Is it more than that? What's your feeling?
Yeah, look, I think it's much larger. It's pretty scary. So we have been testing the platform with a variety of hospitality businesses. In addition, we're advancing discussions with the peak body for the NDIS and aged care. And aged care has said that the shortfall for aged care alone is 150,000 people. And, you know, I have a friend that's a pediatrician who is on the board for Bear Cottage, and you know, she's saying that they have members that have money but can't find staff to basically support them in a home. It's shocking. So that's one issue. The second is, and I could speak for hospitality as an example, is that they have a lot of, one of our foundation clients has a lot of Nepalese chefs that have come to Australia to study. They've gotten permanent residency through that pathway. They've been here for, let's say, 5 years, haven't been able to travel home through COVID. And now the borders have opened up, they're going back. And so it's creating this vacuum where people that have been here for such a long time are now leaving that didn't leave through the pandemic. So the numbers that I would have would be anecdotal, but they're big numbers. It's scary stuff, really.
Big numbers. And how are we going to address the aged care shortage you mentioned? 150,000 aged care workers. Aged care workers, I know for a fact, because I have a family member that works in aged care, are paid pretty much minimum wage. How are we, if we have such an important role like that with such a shortage, why are wages staying at $22 an hour for these really important people that work so hard?
Yeah, it's a real shame. Speaking to the CFO for a large aged care provider the other day, and his comment on that was, if I had to choose between, and this is a bit crude, but if I had to choose between stacking bread at Woolies or wiping bums in an aged care home, I'm going to choose the easier path, which pays more money. So, you know, clearly it's government that needs to get involved with that. But the one thing that, you know, Tony and I were speaking about yesterday is that many people, and it's quite interesting, it hasn't been heavily marketed, but students can now work 40 hours a week, whereas traditionally it was capped at 20 hours. So government obviously doesn't want to project the message that there's exploitation of student labor because they're here to study, but students have traditionally been a large segment of that workforce. It is a big workforce that can be tapped into pretty quickly from a recruitment perspective.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And they can come in on working holiday visas as well, that same category of person, right?
It's a different but similar visa. It's the 500 visa.
Yeah.
But again, there's no cap on those numbers. And the visa processing times are very fast.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I'm just going to unmute and ask the question if that's all right, Brian, rather than putting it in the chat. You talked about the platform being targeted mostly for the traveller type market, perhaps a little more transient, and some of those more lower or semi-skilled positions. That's your target, but it's not limited to that, is that right? Like you could end up attracting more skilled people as well to it. And if we wanted to advertise those kind of positions, is that possible as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So we basically, you know, in trying to help solve the labor crisis, you know, we've taken a lot of time to think how we can make the most impact the fastest. And the greatest limitation for highly skilled work is current visa processing times. Now, hopefully they'll come down with more resource, but, and again, anecdotal feedback, one of our hospitality foundation clients is 193 venues across Australia. And they said that they would be happy to employ people for 2 weeks at a time, and they might bounce around across different venues. But, you know, in my 20 years of recruitment, I've never had a client say to me, I'd be happy to have somebody for 2 weeks. But I mean, that's the current state of affairs. But to your point, our target candidate market, so our B2C audience, is 21 to 35-year-old male, female, unencumbered, UK Irish national. So traditionally, over 50% of those that have taken up working holiday maker visa visas have been from the UK. The second largest market is Ireland. So through time, we will expand our marketing efforts to many other countries. And also we will start to try to reach a larger audience of skilled labor. But for us, you know, it's quite interesting. I was saying to Tony yesterday, you think back pre-COVID, you know, as an accounting recruiter myself, for my career, if I had somebody that was part qual to qual CA from Big Four that arrived from wherever in the UK or Ireland, you know, I'd place them in a heartbeat, right? And, you know, we have in industry, we probably have a quarter of the recruitment population that hasn't worked before the pandemic, and they've probably never thought about placing a backpacker. And so in my travels now, I'm talking about backpackers like, oh yeah. But, you know, as I think about, you know, my recruitment business, you know, we're now starting to employ UK Irish national recruiters again, which has been very difficult, obviously through the pandemic, but, you know, now they're coming back. And yeah, I think it'll be a much bigger market that will open up. But short term, to answer your question, the focus on candidates to platform, 21 to 35-year-old male, female, unencumbered, that can jump on a plane tomorrow, that may already have that visa granted, as an example.
Yeah, and on that, I want to follow on to Adele's question, and then we'll come back to Sharon's question. She's got a question for you in a minute. But there's two big inputs that are important to the growth of recruitment companies, and the two biggest shortages are recruiters, finding recruiters, and many recruiters, as we know in Australia, have come from overseas and done really, really well. How does your platform help recruitment owners to source more of them, which is a really important critical success factor for them?
Yeah, look, again, if you think about that target audience, 21 to 35, male, female, unencumbered, UK Irish national, the odds are if they're the ones coming this way, they could satisfy recruitment opportunities for sure. I think video is a big point of differentiation here. And so for those that sign up to platform, you have the opportunity to create your own, what's effectively white label video job board. And so you have the opportunity to showcase brand, culture, office, etc. But also line managers can record short form video content, 15 to 30 seconds, that talks about themselves and their opportunities, why they like working in their organization, etc. So I think, again, that comes back to that authentic demand for job seeker, we'll call them. They really want to get to know the organization that they're going to be working with. Mm-hmm. And that's just a great platform outside of 3 Zoom interviews over 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, okay. And look, video, it's good that you've hit on video, because 2 years ago on Captain's Table, we were told categorically that video is the future for engagement, especially in recruitment, which is a very people-based business. But as an industry, and we're fairly conservative here in Australia, and we probably don't use video as much as we should. But now you've just reiterated, Brian, that it is powerful and you do get more engagement, especially if it's real, like we are now, as opposed to spending lots of money on the heavily packaged type testimonial style, professionally produced video. Can you just talk to us a little bit more about the importance of video for those people that are on Captain's Table today that haven't really embraced video, and really give them a push to help them to get started?
Yeah, look, I put myself in that camp of those that have a bit of trepidation for video. I think prior to pandemic, I didn't personally spend a lot of time on video. And I think that, generationally, I'm 44 years old. I'm not on TikTok, and, hopefully that will change through time, from a professional context, but it's not something that I'm really comfortable with. Now, I think the landscape that we're in with unemployment at 50-year lows, you just have to do something different. You got to try something different to get a different result. And I think video is a really good way to consider that. And I come back to those statistics of presently 82% of all content created online is video. And so clearly that's where the market is headed. Recruitment is starting to get uptake with it, but I think obviously it's got a long way to run. And I think it's not until it's tried and the results are seen of how successful it can be, there's going to, unfortunately, people will still have that reservation to give it a go.
Okay, no, very good. All right, thank you. And we've got Sharon's asked you a question. She wants you to talk more about advertising on the WorkinAus website. I'm assuming from a recruiter's point of view, how do they best use your website to source talent, both for agencies and for their clients?
Sure. So I guess, and again, we're talking concepts here. You have the opportunity to jump on workinaus.com.au or .co.uk or .ie to familiarize yourself with the platform. But the advertising will be native within your ATS. And so you will have the opportunity, if you wish to advertise through WorkinAus, it's effectively the same journey as posting an ad on Seek. So that's the text-based job advertisement, which is ready to go today. The video component will need to be built out through time. And effectively what that will be is the job advertisement overseas will be text-based on WorkinAus. And then if a job seeker clicks on one of your opportunities, will then go into your white labeled video job boards, so that Netflix of job boards session, where you have the opportunity to promote yourself, the organization you're representing, etc. But that's effectively going to be the journey.
Okay. No, it makes sense. And how will your concept be different to say what Seek's doing in Australia? Because you're starting from a fresh canvas, if you like, and you've learned a lot from what incumbents have done. What are you going to be doing that's different and more effective? Because there is some dissatisfaction out there in the marketplace around Seek's performance at the moment.
Yeah, look, I feel for Seek. I think, and I'm sure that's, everybody's got different opinions on that. But when 500,000 people leave through COVID, unemployment's at 3.9%, and applications are at historic lows, it's, unfortunately, that's not a great formula to work within. WorkinAus is an alternative to the current domestic job boards. All of our marketing efforts for job seekers is overseas. And the YouGov data really pushes the point, which says we're effectively creating a destination platform for those that are willing to consider traveling and working within Australia. But our marketing efforts are really promoting Australia as a start. And then once we've got them interested, it's getting them into the funnel to say, well, if I'm going to travel, I will probably want to work to support that travel through time. So we are effectively the first that's going to be marketing to migrants that are going to want to come this way.
Makes sense. And on that, the other thing that I get asked a lot about owners, and everyone else, feel free if you want to ask a question to put it in chat or unmute yourself, because while we've got Brian here, he's got a huge amount of knowledge on this particular topic, and it'd be such a waste if we didn't pick his brains as much as we could in the next 15 or so minutes that we have. So I'll come back to my question, because Sharon's asked again, who has access to the candidates that come through the platform? That's a very good question.
Yeah, absolutely. So the intention is that so firstly, an advertisement goes up, applications will be pushed through multi-poster to your ATS. So same journey as another job board. to access those that are applying to your job ads. Through time, as the offering is marketed heavily, we will create a candidate database, which members will have the opportunity to mine through time. But that's currently on the tech timeframe. I would say that that's probably 3 months away at this point in time.
Okay, right, that answers that one. Now, the other one I wanted to ask you about, we get asked a lot, well, I do as a consultant to the industry, about recruitment companies wanting to build their temp and contract desk to provide a hedge or diversification of revenues rather than just perm. Perm has been in demand. It's paying really well in this current market. Contract and temp are a lot harder. Margins still, not as great as they could be in some sectors. But how would you use the overseas talent pool, I guess, through WorkinAus to help recruitment companies in Australia to really build out their temp and contract books?
Yeah, it's a great question, and one that I get asked a lot as well. And I just think if you think about current domestic job boards, there's a real big focus on, if you do not have work rights in Australia, please do not apply to this application or advertisement, I should say. WorkinAus is going to be really marketed as the destination site if you need a visa. So that's the market that we're going to try to capture very quickly. Again, anecdotally, if I think about this hospitality large employer that is saying that they're willing to employ someone for 2 weeks' time. Now, let's face it, they're not going to brief a recruiter to say, hey, I need somebody for 2 weeks. But the fact of the matter is, they're willing to employ somebody for just 2 weeks' time. If you were able to get somebody that's currently here in Australia traveling, or is a student, or is about to arrive in the next week or two, that is a great way to build up a temp portfolio very, very quickly with a labor pool that currently isn't here, quite frankly.
Yeah. Oh, no, for sure. I think it's a great opportunity. All right. Who else, please? Well, we've got Brian here. Anybody else? Immigration, visas. Here we go. Oh, Can from Saxon, can you show us some of the marketing to attract candidates? Or tell us about it anyway.
Yeah, so we are going to be a bit edgy with our marketing, but do recognize that we're going to be marketing to 21 to 35-year-old male, female, unencumbered, really focusing on, a lot of our branding is around light and fresh and new and exciting versus dark and cold and winter, et cetera, et cetera. So we have a very aggressive marketing campaign, which is going to be going out speaking to that target audience.
The UK here, of course, right?
What's that?
You're talking about the UK here.
That's right, UK and Ireland. That's right.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that's going to be our focus for marketing efforts.
Yeah, okay. And what other countries?
So at the start, it's UK and Ireland, but through time, we'll be looking at most developed markets. But as the platform is developed, really it's going to be about amplification of advertisements, and that's going to be promoted through social media. And as everybody knows, the opportunity for hyper-local advertising is available with that. So, for example, one of our hospitality clients with that Nepalese community wants to advertise very heavily in Nepal to get these people that they know are there coming back, those large communities. So it's really going to be anywhere globally, but it would be at the start more developed markets.
Yeah, and the ones that have got those visa requirements that are on the approved list that you called out to us before, yeah, they would be the first ones.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, Adele, and then we've got another question after that.
I had one. I just wanted to ask about, you mentioned that targeting people that want to come and work in Australia or get that concept, the age and the unencumbered, that sort of thing. What's the pathway if they are interested? So they hit the site. Is it expected that if they don't have a visa and they find a job that we might have posted that they're interested in, do we need to then, you mentioned potential services around migration agent, are we just kind of going, we have the job and we do need you to have a visa, or are we having to have that ready to go to find some sort of way to sponsor? Like, where does the ownership lie on who's going to get the visa for them, sort of thing? Are they expecting us to do that? Will there be a pathway for them to do that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So for skilled migration, we, as I mentioned, we're in the final stages of a formal partnership with the Migration Institute of Australia. So we're not going to be providing migration services. We'll have a marketplace that people can get access to, members to provide that advice. But I guess the key point with the current visa program, 417, is it's free. You can work for a year for an employer, whereas historically, obviously, it was 6 months, do your farm work, pick fruit, whatever it might be, and then another 6 months with another employer. So many people are not aware of that at present. So that's one big factor. But again, the key with the 417 visas is they're processed almost immediately, and they're currently free. The cost obviously is about $450 if it comes back from government, but it's almost, I shouldn't say guaranteed, but it's almost a guarantee that they're going to get that visa if they apply for it.
That's a big change, isn't it? A big turnaround. All right. Oh, got another one here for you from Sharon. Going back to your site, is advertising, how do you pay? Is it a subscription? Is it free at the moment? You got any special trials? And you said 3 months until members have access to the candidate pool. So that'll need a subscription, right?
Yep. So it's a 12-month commitment. It's free until the end of August. It's $3,000 for the year, and that's 5 advertisements per month. Recurring, and you can get your own white labeled video job board, but it's all on the website if you want to have a look at it.
Yeah, okay, so have a look at that. And you've got samples and templates and all that sort of stuff, pretty easy to do, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, good. And especially for the people that come to Captain's Table, Brian, can they contact you directly?
Yes.
We'll obviously we've got your contact details on the presentation, but it's a huge benefit if they can personally be asking you questions and you pointing them in the right direction. So,
yeah, absolutely. We do have a head of sales and partnerships, but anybody that has a question from this, please contact me directly. Absolutely.
Oh, very good. All right, last chance, everybody, before we close. Everyone that is on today's session, if you've got a question, perhaps around what's important for your specific business, because we've got companies in all different sectors that recruit in all sectors here. I hope your brains are ticking over on how you can utilize the overseas workforce potential, because, you know, as you all know, it's really hard to find people in existing jobs right now. We've got counter offers, big time. We've got auctioning of really good candidates in this market. We've got so many jobs that are falling through after a lot of work by recruiters, and often that work is not being paid for. So this is a really good alternative. So if any of you have got more questions, and I think that brings me to one quick one that made me think about it as I was spieling off then, candidate exclusivity. And I guess that's where Sharon was getting to. How can recruiters really build quickly candidate exclusivity so that they're not spamming themselves out to dozens of recruitment companies in Australia?
I'm not sure how to answer that. I think, could you rephrase the question?
All right, okay. So using your platform, Brian, the recruiter, how do they, obviously they're going to get applicants. It's going to be really important for them to build some exclusivity with those applicants straight away, so that applicant's not applying for multiple jobs.
Got it. Yeah, sorry. It makes sense. Look, I think particularly for skilled opportunities, there is the option that people can work remotely. And so employers could employ via an employer of record business. Deal is an example we're working on a partnership with. It's $50 US per month for them to be employed through Deal in host country, wherever that might be. So in essence, that's advertisement, engage with job seekers interested in opportunity. They could be employed in, let's say, Belfast before they get their visa approved coming this way. So it is an opportunity to, one step further than exclusivity. It's really making a placement before they even are on an airplane, as an example.
I like that idea a lot. Actually start employing them while they're in their home country to do all their onboarding and pre-training while they get organised to move. It gets them off the it gets them off the job market
Yep.
and into your organisation. I think that's one big benefit from COVID, that almost every company I talk to now, there's some form of remote working anyway. What's the difference between if they're starting their onboarding in Ireland compared to starting it in, Coffs Harbour or wherever? So with technology, yeah.
And I just think it helps to overcome that potential lag for visa processing time.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. And I guess that's why induction and onboarding are going to be even more important than ever. And communication and the technology platforms that we're now needing to use in this new world of work.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Well, I think if there is nothing more, we might finish up and let everyone get to their next meetings on the hour. But we will send you a copy of the recording. We will send you a copy of Brian's presentation with his contact details on there. So yeah, please be in touch with him. And if you have other questions that come up, which I'm sure they will, we've got a couple of comments coming through. So thank you very much. Very interesting, Brian. So yeah, really good to have you, and thank you, and really, really refreshing to see something new and very helpful for our industry that's addressing a major issue right now. So Brian, thank you very much. Thanks for all your input, and we appreciate having you on Captain's Table. Next session, we've got a owner of an award-winning recruitment company going to share a lot of her success journey with us, so stay tuned on that one. I'll be giving you more details later. Thanks everyone very much. I know there's a lot going on. It's a very busy time of year. Thanks all for attending Captain's Table. Thanks again to our supporters, Job Editor Airs, Digit Pro, and William Buck, and also A Positive. Thanks very much for continuing to support Captain's Table, and we look forward to seeing you all either in person or on webinars as we progress through the year. So thank you very much, everyone, and look forward to seeing you next time.
Just quickly, thank you as well. And I just want to close by saying thanks for your attention. I know it's a long session with a lot of data heavy statistics, but we're really keen on feedback. So for those that are on platform, little things, big things, help with strategy, we're really open to feedback. So if anybody has any questions or comments, they are very welcome. So thanks again.